So, Mark, did you see that cute picture of the couple cuddling at the machine playing? Las Vegas locally says that she's monitoring his gambling. I thought it was kind of messed up because she's not giving him any space on that seat. He's like right on the edge.
She's wearing the pants in that family, I think. But there's plenty of empty seats that you could pull over. I don't know. My favorite was the first comment is they share a Facebook account too.
One of the many dramas of Las Vegas that we've covered relentlessly, I think, over the last few years is the monorail. And, you know, the LVCVA bought the monorail a few years ago, and they said that it's going to go away at the end of life. And then it went kind of viral on social media a few months ago saying it was going to close. And then they came out and said it wasn't. And then this week, another sort of weird thing happened. And they said basically that they have found ways to extend the monorail's life through this decade and deep into the next. It just sounds like marketing to me. They don't want people to think it's going to close, but it'll still close when the equipment's all done.
Yeah, I think whenever it gets to a point that it doesn't make sense to rehab or fix it up or, you know, do the repairs, or they get to a point that they can't find the parts for it is when it closes. But maybe they have stockpiled enough stuff that they think they can do another decade. I mean, we've talked about this, like it seems like they should have invested a long time ago, gotten stuff, maybe looked at different trains, things like that they could have done. But the interesting thing here is they're saying that they might do cars on it after, or repurpose the rail line. I don't know how that's going to work. Cars driving up there, would it even be useful?
Yeah, we talked about that before a few months ago, the first time they dropped this idea. I don't think anything's changed, even though their language is sort of changed and saying we figured out these new ways to keep it alive. I'm guessing that this new way to keep it alive is to kind of cannibalize the old cars as it gets older, you know, take cars offline and use the parts and stuff. But yeah, they still want to repurpose it. I guess the moral of the story here is it made news again, but there's nothing new. We still got probably 5, 8, 10 years left. Whatever it is, enjoy it, and then it's going to close. But it is kind of sad, you know, kind of looking back on all these infrastructure projects that we pay for, you know, Tropicana heading into year 3, all this stuff. And why couldn't we have given this system a few $100 million to make it proper public transport? You know, it was always privately funded. Kind of a mistake if you look back.
We've talked about many times if they would have been able to extend it to the airport, how many people would use it and how many cars that would get off the street and everything like that. Like everybody's taking an Uber or taxi from the airport to get to their hotel, and they could easily hop on this tram if it went all the way there. You know, we see it in other locations. It works really well. So it would have been cool if they would have done that. I know they're, you know, all the the balls are in the boring tunnel bucket now, and we just have to see how that plays out. The good thing is they don't have to put money up for it. The bad thing is that's really all they got going, because as soon as this runs out of life, if that doesn't work, what do you have? You know, there's nothing left.
Yeah, and while a lot of people don't like the monorail or don't feel like it's convenient, it certainly is convenient for the convention center, and it's a huge part of bringing people to the convention center for these giant conventions. So it's very important to the overall strategy, and that's why Vegas Loop is important. So we'll keep an eye on it, but I don't know, nothing new here, I don't think. So we have some breaking news, Mark, and that's that it's hot in Las Vegas. But I guess it's, you know, really notable because this is as hot as it's ever been. We talked about the all-time record, or the record since 1937, being broken, 120 degrees the other day. We also hit 119 on another day, which also would have broken the record. And then we've now hit 5 days in a row over 115. We're expected to go at least 7 days. We've never gone more than 4 days in the past over 115. Back-to-back 118-degree days is another record. This is the heat wave of all heat waves.
I guess Las Vegas weather is our new F1 this summer that we talk about every show. Now, my one question is...
because you don't have to live through it. That's the problem. This is bad.
You don't live through it either. You probably just stay indoors the whole time. How many times have you had to fill up the pool? Like, what's the water level looking like each day when you go out there?
Usually this time of year, the pool's about once a week. You top it off. You know, you just turn it on and let it run for a couple hours and top it off. It's been bad. You don't want to go outside. Everybody's complaining. You notice the difference. This 10 degrees, let's say between 105, which is the normal high, and 115 or 118, it's brutal. And, you know, maybe when you go out in the morning, it feels okay. By 9 or 10, it's already 110 degrees. So you don't even get those morning hours that you normally get where it would be in the 90s during normal time. Anyway, it's hot. Everybody's complaining. And we'll remember this one, I think, for a while.
Yeah, I think it'll stay around, and I'm sure it's hurting some businesses like golf courses and stuff. I know in the summer they probably didn't have a ton of golfers out there during peak day, probably offered good deals, but even more so now. Does anybody want to go out in 115, 120 degree temps? swinging a golf club. I know I wouldn't, and I love golf.
I've never realized there's so much controversy over weather, except for the last few days, just watching Twitter and people complain about the fact that they report the official temperature from the airport instead of from other parts of town, which they also do. But you have to have a spot that's the official spot for the city, and that's the airport. People saying it's not a record, it's been hotter than 120 degrees, or that they're lying about all kinds of crazy stuff. But one cool thing was the airport put out where the actual temperature monitor station is, so you can see exactly how they monitor this temperature. I know this is a little weather nerdy stuff, but I enjoyed seeing that.
Did you watch it from a Google map? Your other favorite thing to do, satellite view?
Yeah, I zoomed in. I didn't. I should have zoomed in where it was at the airport, and I didn't. What a missed opportunity. But yeah, weather is fun to talk about. I also love talking about Japan. And one of the more interesting things you see in Japan are these pachinko machines everywhere. And this is a strange form of gambling that involves balls. It's kind of like pinball, or I don't know. You can watch the video and see what it is. I've never played
Or
it,
watch The
but
Price is Right?
yeah, it looks very much like the game on The Price is Right. But anyway, they have it here in Vegas. I didn't really know that, but Vegas Confessions, shout out to Julian. He tagged us in this, and it's over at the Hoover Dam Casino, which is owned by Dottie's, and yeah, near Boulder City. I don't know. This is kind of unique. I think we should head over there and check out the pachinko.
Yeah, that was one of the casinos on our trip out that way that we didn't get to stop to. Just kind of ran out of time, and I would definitely want to see it. I'll go out there, and these machines are just another draw for that. And it's kind of cool because, like most slot machines outside of maybe, video poker and stuff like that, don't take a lot of skill. It's kind of, luck involved and stuff. And maybe this brings a little bit of the skill aspect into it, where you drop it, how you drop it. Maybe you can figure it out over time, what works and stuff like that. And it's kind of like what we see in arcades and games they have there, and you can try to go for the ticket jackpot. So I think this adds a little bit to it, and it's something that I've always complained about when they brought in those crane games and stuff like that seem like it's skill based. Even like the video game shooter games, but has nothing to do with skill. It's just all the same randomness. Maybe this brings a little bit of skill into it, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And researching this, I didn't even realize that in Japan, I knew gambling's illegal. They don't have casinos. Big deal, obviously, MGM building their Osaka property, getting that license and everything. But you see these parlors everywhere. And apparently, even though gambling's illegal, it pays you out in these little balls, and then or tokens, and you can cash out the tokens for cash. So it really is a legal form of gambling in Japan. So you learn something new every day, but go check those out. Unique. Maybe we'll see them come into Vegas proper soon. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like those bar top games you see in, outside of Nevada, and you can win like a Visa gift card or something, and you can cash out at certain amounts, but you can't actually win. It's weird like that.
So this next story is kind of sad. I mean, this made me sad kind of thinking about it. We joke about this, guys taking women up to their rooms, their Rolexes get stolen. Everybody jokes about adult entertainment and how people get scammed, all kinds of things like that. But there's this story where this Arkansas guy is suing an adult entertainer in Las Vegas for $38.5 million, basically saying she fleeced $3.5 million out of him over 10 years, pretending they were in a relationship, sharing that money with her real boyfriend. And then he's suing her for $35 million for other damages. Apparently, according to him, allegedly, she led him along and made him think they were in a relationship, took all this money, he bought her a house, all kinds of stuff, and it was all fake.
We see these kind of stories all the time, especially overseas, like expats moving to Thailand and stuff. I have a buddy that lives there, and he said it runs rampant there, where they'll take 2-3 years, run the scam on you, working with their current husband or boyfriend until you sell everything back home. And it's something that you have to worry about if you meet somebody over there. So we see it around the world, no different in Vegas, I think. I just find it wild that he's, suing her for 10 times the amount of money. She doesn't have it, and nobody has it. You're not going to get that money. Why would you sue for this? Like, just try to get the house back at least. That should be the minimum. That was probably worth like $1 million now. At least you get some of the money back. I'm sure you had some good times. You went on some trips. Just call it for what it is. You had an escort for 10 years for a couple $1 million.
I mean, that's what it works out to be. It's very sad for him from his perspective because he thought he was in a relationship, but it's no different than being in a relationship with somebody who's cheating on you or living a double life or something like that. So I don't know if it's really as much the adult entertainer aspect or it's important. It's just sad for him that this happened. I agree with you. He did seem to have good times. They took trips. He had this person as part of his life for 10 years that he thought he was in a relationship with. Maybe that was some positive. I don't know. Just trying to think about it. But it's a crazy lawsuit. And as you point out, when these guys put themselves out there for these lawsuits or to get people arrested, or, they're exposing sort of a side of themselves and kind of putting themselves out there. So I feel bad for this guy all around, Mark. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for him, and it's just something that happens, especially when you're in a dark place, you're going through a divorce, you're very vulnerable, and that's the time that people will really scoop in and try to scam you out of stuff, when you have money and things like that. So just be cautious, that type of thing. Don't let people know that you're a millionaire, I guess. I don't know. We see this type of story happens in Vegas a lot, which is sad, but it's kind of like the darkest sides of you come out at times in Vegas.
Moral of the story, that dancer probably doesn't like you as much as she's letting on. I mean, that's just the way it
That's true
is.
for all,
Yeah.
anywhere in the world.
Yeah. As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. A lot of fun that we have back there. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all of the information. And thanks to everybody who supports us over there. So here's one that's interesting. I know people are going to go in the comments and saying we're hating on MGM. I'm actually not hating on MGM here. I don't think this is a big deal, but it is noticeable. And in the high limit room at Cosmo, and this is a very niche thing, they had fresh flowers. They always had fresh flowers. And I actually noticed them. I never thought about it, but when I saw this picture, I remember many times seeing these fresh flowers and sort of noticing them. And now they're fake. And people are saying this is another MGM cutback, death by 1,000 cuts, things like that. I think it's a little overblown, not a huge deal, but it does kind of change the atmosphere a bit.
Yeah, I mean, just remove it if you want to save money. Put something else there. I think fake flowers just kind of feels cheap, and Cosmo's going for an elevated experience. And it's when you're talking about, a 5-star place or being talked about as the top 1, 2, 3 hotels in Vegas, it's these little touches that make the difference. And we all worried about this when MGM took over, that they would slowly take away all these little niche things that make Cosmo great. And it's just kind of the things that you don't really realize until it's taken away are the things that make properties great. This is probably one of those things. Adds a little bit of aroma in the area. When you walk by, you probably subconsciously notice that they're real, and now you won't get that same type of thing. Overall, not a big deal, but it is just kind of like an underlying issue that we see, and something that we were worried about when it came to this.
Yeah, the sky isn't falling, but it's not a good thing. And it's kind of sad to see. And what are they saving? A few $100s a day? How much does that high limit room bring in? How many people go there because of the atmosphere or whatever? But yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about it. Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? I'm sure you guys will be split, but it's little things like this. It's funny how the internet finds ways to kind of bring them up. They can be more controversial than probably they should be. But as you say, when you see a lot of the little things, then it can be bad.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't think the bathtub stuff would go so viral when they removed it at Bellagio, but it became a huge problem.
So this next one is fun. Silverton had an amazing giveaway this week. I didn't make it over there. I wish I did. And they're giving away fleece blankets that match the carpet in the casino. We're going to call this the MTM Vegas giveaway. We should work together, Silverton or other casinos who want to theme their giveaways to carpets. But this is a great idea. Somebody's been listening.
Yeah, I think it's, something unique, something that catches the eye. I think it's a good idea. And if you really love the casino, it's like bringing a piece of it home. I still think the Sahara hoodie was my favorite giveaway of all time. Wish I would have gotten one of those. They look so cool. So maybe we need like a carpet hoodie, would that be cool?
Yeah, I think, wouldn't it be neat to sell themed, because the carpet in casino, we're finding out through this show and through social media that people are really into casino carpet. Not everybody, but there are a number of people, a lot of people who are, and they notice it, and it's a big part of the sort of brand of the casino and the vibes and everything. So integrating that into merch, I actually think would be a smart idea. And I agree, that Sahara hoodie, man, I wish I had one.
Yeah, I think Rio could really knock it out of the park, bringing up a Rio carpet hoodie. I think that would be kind of cool. We talked about how it's crazy, but I think on clothing, it would look really unique and kind of pop. A black hoodie with all those colors coming off. I think people would love it.
When I was in Hawaii, everybody said my shirt matched the Rio carpet. So there you go. Come on, Rio, hook me up with a shirt. I'll wear it on the show. That matches your beautiful, bright tropical carpet. Yeah, good stuff at Silverton. So there was an interesting article in the Review Journal about the future of the mall at Primm. We had talked when Michael Kors closed, I don't know, 6 months ago, whenever it was. This has been sort of a sad drama that we've been watching for years as well. And we said there was no more stores left. And then I contacted them. They said that there was one store left, the thrift store, the Santa thrift store. But according to Review Journal, that's now closed and nobody knows what the future is, whether it's going to be converted to something else. An expert said it wouldn't do well as industrial because of the architecture of the mall, so probably needs to get torn down. But it's basically empty, so that's your update.
Just put like an orange Julius in there for the morning walkers that still go in empty malls and walk around. I don't know if that's a thing there or not. But yeah, it's sad. What they appraised it for like $28 million in 2019, and then it sold a couple years later, 2 3 years later, for 400K, which is mind-boggling. It just shows how much COVID kind of destroyed that area a little bit. The casinos closed down for several years, which, didn't have people stopping as much. They wouldn't go into the mall. They're back open, but they never really kind of got back to where they were before, or at least, Bill's is open, but it's just sad.
Sad indeed. I mean, can you imagine buying a whole mall for $400,000? I mean, the building is basically worthless, and I'm sure it's costing them a pretty penny to keep the air conditioning on and all that, especially with all the heat. It's even hotter out there, but yeah, bad times. Who knows what's going to happen there? The airport that they're going to build 12, 15 miles away is at least, 20 years away, 15, 20 years away. Gene is getting those industrial parks where the old Terribles was because that's close enough to Vegas. I don't see any of that coming out to Primm. I think it's just going to close. It's going to have to just close the doors at some point and cut it off from the casino. And that's the weird thing. It's attached to a casino.
They need to like just turn it all into a big Primm for Trim, and it'll be gangbusters. Tons of rooms.
I was waiting for it. It took you way too long to get there in this story. So I wanted to talk about this. I think we talked about this on an after show at some point, touching slot machines. And I just saw this video Vital Vegas shared. So this is sort of like a mix between the button smashers and the screen tappers, I guess. But my wife has recently started like touching the screen a lot of times to like, I don't know, bring on bonuses or something. And it drives me nuts. And I notice a lot of gamblers do it. So I wanted to put it out there, see if a lot of people out there rub the screens, rub the machine for good luck. What are their rituals with the machines? Or do you tap? Do you just like smash the screen when you get a chance?
My number one PSA, if you are slapping the screen or whatever, wash your hands before you go to the bathroom and after, of course, but always do it before touching chips, anything. You never know what's on there. It's pretty nasty, but no, I mean, people get upset about it. It doesn't bother me too much as long as you're not like damaging it. It did look like the machine was moving a little bit in this one, hitting it pretty hard. So you have to worry about that. Somebody said they should have the tilt thing. If you hit too hard, you just lose all your credits, which I think would be pretty crazy, but that would stop it right away. I don't know. People love to do their different things when they're gambling. People set dice a certain way. Touching the screen is just another like juju type thing. So it is what it is.
Yeah, wash your hands in a casino often. That's would be my advice to anybody. I do miss all of the sanitizers everywhere that we used to have. Speaking of what we talked about on the last show, that was nice. I wish that stuck around because it just made it easier to just remind yourself to do it all the time. But yeah, so many germs there. And let's close with this, Mark. Mirage Madness, apparently. We talked on the last show about the $1.6 million in giveaways, and apparently the whole city showed up for these. A lot of the slot machines are offline, like we talked about, because of progressives or whatever. They had to take them offline. So the casino isn't at full capacity. On Wednesday, we saw videos coming out of there with every machine full, people behind them, people fighting for machines. It was just madness all over the place. And shout out to Bill Crackman, friend of the show. He gave us a shout out on his show. Cool guy. He was walking through there sharing it all.
I'm surprised at the way they set this up, that you just had to have, it seems like you just had to have your player card in the machine to be active for the promotion. You don't even have to be gambling. So that's a terrible way to set this all up. It should be you have to earn 100 tier credits or whatever to get into it. And you probably wouldn't see this as much as we are right now. The fact that people can just come camp out, bring like snack. I think somebody said they saw picnic baskets and stuff. They can just bring all their stuff, slide their card in there, sit there for 8 hours and hope to win. It's just horribly set up. I think it would have been cool if they would have just been like, hey, everybody that hits 100 tier credits gets this. Everybody that hits 5,000 gets this. Like, broke it up that way, give people something, to shoot for and definitely get gaming. I don't think this is working out the way they intended. I'm not sure that a lot of people are gambling in there. They're just kind of showing up and trying to get some freebies.
A lot of casinos do run promotions where you have to have your card and be actively playing, meaning you had to have made a bet in a certain amount of time. So it seems like they could have done that. But yeah, it's nuts to see like a casino full. Well, first off, you see turned off machines everywhere. But then in the videos, you see it full people standing behind other people waiting for machines. It's sort of nuts. But I mean, there is a lot of money out there and it's very limited amount of time. So these are big drawings. I think people are winning 20K, things like that. So it just seems like every hardcore gambling casino person in the world came out there. There was one little thing in the comments, and I don't have any more information on this, but somebody said they were upgrading people to legend status with Unity locals specifically, is what they said.
Yeah, it'd be something, especially if you're traveling anywhere that they have other hotel locations, casino locations. It'd be useful. It kind of gets you started in that realm.
Yeah, and I just want to go down there to see. I don't expect we'll be able to get a machine or anything, but to go down there to see the madness in person myself, and go check it all out. So hopefully I'll get over there. Maybe I'll share some on the next show. But Mirage, just a few days left, Mark.
Do you think people are like peeing their pants at the machine, or did they bring like somebody to swap out with when they have to go to the bathroom? Like how does this work?
I don't know. I mean, this is just a setup for disaster, but it's also a quirky way to close a casino, and I like it. And you know what? This is much better energy than we saw with Tropicana. Obviously, different scenarios. Hard Rock owns this; they're keeping it, they're redeveloping it. Versus Tropicana shuttering forever. But what different vibes? I mean, seems just, I don't know, better.
Yeah, I think it at least brings some energy to it at the end, bringing people in to say goodbye. Even if you're just going to, like you would, to watch it and witness what is happening and be a part of it. I think it's kind of something unique, something that you'll remember, something that you might not see in Vegas again that goes down this way. A lot of casinos are owned by other, MGM, Caesars, stuff like that. They could just move the progressives over if something like this happened. So we might not see this for another 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Exciting stuff. And we'll have more Mirage stories, I'm sure, on every show for the next week or two as it closes. It's coming up. Another one bites the dust. So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about, all the craziness at Mirage, Pachinko, the Monorail, touching slot machines, the Primm ball. Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Go ahead.
I just realized I said balls in a basket instead of eggs in a basket.
Well, you said balls in a bag. It didn't even.
I was thinking driving range golf balls, I guess. I don't know.